So when it comes to horror movies, vampire movies specifically, it doesn't get much more classic than the 1931 film Dracula. Nosferatu was of course before, and it is arguably the scarier, maybe even better film, but this was the first official adaptation of Bram Stoker's novel with the great Bela Lugosi in the iconic title role. This was the role that made Lugosi a household name, and is still the role we know him the best for. There are a lot of interesting aspects to this movie. For one, there's basically no music in it except for the main theme, which is just Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake. This was still early days for sound film, so that explains the studio's reluctance to bother with a proper soundtrack. Incidentally, this adds an eerie mood to the film. Since it was based on a Dracula play, and some of the main actors from the play reprised their roles in the film, it has a stagey quality to it, as many of the scenes take place in a single location without much camera movement or cuts. This definitely makes Dracula a bit of a stiff film, and casual modern day moviegoers would probably get a bit bored watching it, even if it is a short film. It's not actually boring, however, thanks to a charismatic and unforgettable Bela Lugosi, a frankly genius performance by Dwight Frye, who plays Renfield, some iconic lines of course.
Children of the night, what music they make.
And a beautifully moody gothic look. Creepy castles, crosses, fog, coffins, bats, it's all there. Even stuff you didn't expect, like possums, armadillos, and vampire bees. Vampire bees. Why wasn't the movie about those? The film isn't completely faithful to the book, but it does follow its general outline. Dracula purchases Carfax Abbey, turns Renfield into his slave, travels to London on a ship, and sets his sights on Mina, the fiancée of Jonathan Harker. Harker has a much bigger role in the book, and so does Dr. Seward, so it's a bit of a shame that they are kind of a wasted opportunity in this movie. They really have nothing to offer except reacting to stuff that's happening around them. Edward Van Sloan is entertaining as Van Helsing though, as is this guy who just goes around being wacky the entire time.
They're all crazy.
He's kind of awesome. He's like trolling the movie as it's going on. Honestly, not enough credit is given to Dwight Frye for his nutty performance as Renfield. Just listen to that laugh. Surely this is one of the all-time greatest movie laughs. And I gotta hand it to Peter MacNicol, he pretty much nailed it in Dracula Dead and Loving It.
It's cracking.
I won't hurt you! All I want is your life!
I don't care what people say, that spoof is underrated. There's some funny stuff in there. Dracula is the perfect film to kick off your Halloween horror marathon. It's short enough that it'll leave you wanting more, but iconic enough that it'll feel worth it. It's still just as haunting as ever, and although it lacks the emotional punch that Frankenstein had, it's an unavoidable horror classic and should be watched by anyone who loves vampire movies and cinema in general. A must-see.
I am Dracula.